All right, so we're in our third week, Ashish, and this week we're going to talk about the project charter, and this is essentially, well, like the other tools, the the doing of the charter is more important than the actual document that comes out of it. And one interesting analogy that we had yesterday was like comparing this or these tools to progressive summarization in the building your second brain framework. But this is more of like progressive summarization and progressive elaboration, that we use these tools to to get the gist of some of our project ideas, but also to elaborate in them, to put more details. I think elaboration would be more. Um, we will do more elaboration than summarization in these these tools. So for the project charter, what we will elaborate is actually the vision for the project. Um, so what are we doing here? So, and we're doing this for ourselves. Like for as project managers, what are we doing? We are doing this for our teammates and also for our stakeholders, to put everyone on the same page. So this is literally the page that we put everyone on, the project charter. This is also the project charter is also a a script for your pitch. So you're building your script for your pitch for the project, because especially if you're managing a project with a lot of stakeholders, a lot of team members, it's gonna be you're gonna be the main salesperson for the project. And also, the project charter is a public document which everyone sees. It's a way for you to increase the skin in the game for everyone involved in the project. And then also, as we discussed last week, this is also a way of protecting your team and yourself in low trust environments, like environments where project environments where you are contracted, for instance, to do the project, or you're contracting another company to do the to be part of the project. That is the project charter is helpful in that. So in this, what I'm hoping to do in this chapter is to, rather than give a template of, okay, this is like the project charter, you fill this out, is to talk about the first principles of those, why those sections are there, so that you could create your own template, something that you're comfortable with, and then just and then look at a public project charter as a let's call this strategically, meaning you have a purpose for each of the sections you create in that publicly shown project charter. So um, the project charter essentially just has three sections. You're describing what the project is, why you're doing the project, and how you will execute the project, how you will bring it to reality. So the first section, you have to have a name for the project. So you don't really need to put in a lot of effort naming a project, especially if it's just an internal project and something your personal project. But if the more people involved in a project, the more effort you should put in to um, for that name, for your branding. So at the very least, make it easy to talk about. Um, the best names encapsulate the mission of the project. Um, yeah, and then the next one is the project scope statement, essentially a description of what the project is. And then the most commonly used example of a project scope statement is the the Kennedy's statement on the Apollo mission. I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before the decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. So the reason why this is a good description of a project is because you have there the the what you call this the measurable outcome, and you have there the timeline. So this is a deliberate thing you choose. Like what should you commit? You could see here that Kennedy didn't commit the cost. So that's also a reason why this is good, because they knew what their what you call this relative flexibility of the constraints of the projects were. Meaning, they were probably willing to spend a lot of money just to make this happen. They actually did spend a lot of money. Um, so yeah, that's something we should do also for our project. So when we create our statement, so this table could help, so that you don't put unnecessary constraints on yourself, and then at the get go you decide. When you do trade-offs, and project management is all will entail a lot of trade-offs. So how will you make those trade-offs? So which part of the project is most important, meaning it's not negotiable. You have to do it in that, um, as described. Is it the scope, meaning the outcome of the project? It has to be that. Is it the cost, meaning your budget, you couldn't go exceed your budget? Or is it the schedule? uh, you couldn't extend the project. So, as a project manager, you want to have as much leeway as possible, but at the same time, you have to have a clear goal to to gather the efforts on your project, to focus the efforts of your project. So, the charter is your way to think about that and to document that. So, I normally add this table in my charters just to agree, align with the team that, okay, this is how we're gonna do this project. So whatever happens, for instance, if we decide that the scope is the most important thing, so we will delay this if needed, we will add more money if needed, but the scope stays the same or something like that. So this is something you will is good to agree on at the beginning of the project. And then, so once you're reading
Sorry,
this,
Khalil, a
yes, go ahead,
question.
Ashish. Yes.
Is that also public? What is more important, the prioritization, scope, cost, and schedule, or it's more like between the stakeholders?
Public, you mean, oh, who do you mean by public?
I mean, so you were saying that the project charter can be a public document where various people can view it. So, is that
Mm.
part of the charter, or is it something separate?
Yes. So the way I look at this is like, it's either just for myself as a project manager when I think about the project, or it's like I show it to the team and the stakeholders. So I consider it already public. I mean, they can show it to anyone. So this one, um, I normally place this in my public um, project charters, because I want everyone to know that in case in the future, as we do the project, if we have to make trade-offs, and it's almost inevitable always that we will make trade-offs, like you have to delay this, you have to. So I already agree at the beginning that what is the most important thing in this project, to among the triple constraints. Does that answer your question,
Oh,
Ashish?
yeah, it does. Understood. Understood. Thank you.
So for this, like all the other tools here, the main learning exercise here is the doing of this thing. So you just name your project, you create a project scope statement, and you fill out this table. Um, and then with that, you do it yourself first. But then, as we will talk about later, the important aspect here is actually the talking with the team about this, your project team. So you actually agree, or even if you don't agree, you have that discussion beforehand, so you as a project manager could foresee what possible conflicts you will have in the future. So this could be the way to resolve those conflicts ahead of time. So the next one is the why. So this is in organizations. This could be like the business case for the project. So what are we doing for the project? Yeah, so the bottom line is the return on investment in a business. If you're doing this for a nonprofit, then this could be, you have to align this to your mission. So what is the mission of the organization, and how does this project bring you closer to your mission? For a personal project, this could be your vision of your life, and how does this bring you closer to that future vision of what you want your life to be. And this is important, for like, for really to motivate yourself long term and your teammates. You have to think about two aspects of yourself and your teammates. The way I look at this is the stallion and the rider. um, the stallion is a part of ourselves which is motivated by, status, novelty, adventure, camaraderie, all these things. And then the rider is the part of us which is motivated by purpose, by meaning, um, by giving these more, what you call this, abstract thoughts like freedom, justice, and all these things. Um, So you want to address both of these things. So these ones, I normally, this is like an internal document for me. So what this is, how is this meaningful for me? And what I also do is like I talk to my teammates, as I build the charter, the ones who will be joining me as a project manager, the project team, like they will be joining me in this journey. So what do they want out of this project? you know Not only as like a career or like a contribution to something bigger themselves, but like a lot of people, especially if you work with knowledge workers, they want, uh, the model that has been, um, replicated scientifically or in experiments, is that people, knowledge workers, desire mastery, purpose, and autonomy. So I have to think about that as, in this project. How does this increase their autonomy, their mastery, and give them purpose? So it's different for each one. It's like what is purpose for these people? So that's something I need to think about and discuss with each one, maybe through one-on-ones and later on as a team. So, and then from that private document that I create myself, so in Rome. So I'll create a public document based on that, but with a strategy, meaning what am I trying to communicate, what am I trying to persuade them on. So the charter itself is a document aimed at persuasion. It's also your script for your conversations people with that goal as well, to persuade them, that this project is worthwhile doing, and then your contribution is important to this project, and these are your contributions. Those are the main communications goal of the document. So here, so just basically doing this. So how would you? What are your personal motivations, and what are the motivations of your teammates? This will also prep you for your, um, conversations with your teammates. And then if you have a formal, mission statement of the organization you're doing the project for, that could be used here. You place that missions, part of the mission statement here, and then you could, okay, so this project contributes to this mission because of this. This is what we'll do. If it's your personal thing or just like family, it's like what do you envision your family to be? Um, and this, how does this project help, in your personal life, in your family life? Any questions or suggestions in this, section?
No, I'm listening very keenly, Khalil, because this is new to me. Uh, we don't do formal project charter, and this is something which I had completely skipped in my project. So this is very interesting. Thank you. I'll continue to listen.
Cool. So the next one is like the how. How will you bring this project to reality? And then this is a preview of the other project management tools that we'll be doing. This is also the outcome of our exercise last week with the WBS. So, for instance, the first one, we could just make use of the top level branches of the WBS. Again, so this is not like a simple processing of like what we did, like whatever comes out of it, we'll put here. So we always have to think about the communications goal of this document, which is to essentially you're selling the project here, and then inspiring people to help out in the project. So here you're giving them an idea of what needs to be done in this project. And then, so what naturally comes out of that is that, okay, this is what we need to do. And next is like, this is the team that will do it. These are your teammates, um, and your sponsors. So the teammates and sponsors, essentially, it's like this is where you're putting them. You're creating skin in the game for them. So their names are there, and then you want to share with them the victory, and possibly or you want to share that with them, the possibility of failure, because it also propels people to do their work, no? um, so also, this is where you would get political air cover. So for complex organizations where there are a lot of power dynamics, you want to anticipate what are the possible political barriers in getting this project done. And then you want your sponsors' name to be here, like in that organization who has the power to make decisions and all that. So you want them to be your sponsors here. Um, your godfathers and godmothers. And then, yeah, the project milestones is essentially a way for you to also give an overview of how this project will unfold over time. A key thing here is like this is not a calendar, or you can put your calendar. It's really up to you. But what I prefer is a milestone chart. A milestone chart is really just milestones, which are like specific instances in the project, which gives you an idea of the progress. For instance, you've started a activity in the project, or you completed it, or you have created an output. Um, in the case of an event, uh, you have booked a speaker, for instance, or for a building, you have completed the foundations or something like that. So it's like a specific event, a specific point in time, which shows the progress. You just select, what, just to give this is an overview, maybe 5 to 10, depends on how big the project is. So again, the objective is to give your team and stakeholders an idea of what this journey you are entering on, because also this is a support for for what you will be asking them, their work, budget, and their support. The risks is also would give them context. So in our previous exercise where we did the WBS, we highlighted some areas there with risks. So here you would already start thinking about what risks, what actual risks those are threaten those aspects of your WBS. In our example of the birthday party, for instance, one risk there, at least for me as a project manager of that, my biggest risk is the cooking, because I don't know how to cook. Um, so if that's the risks, so what actually is that? It's like the actual risk is actually failing to provide good food, because that's directly affects the success of the birthday party, whose goal is to make people enjoy and celebrate. So there you will also put the mitigation and the contingency. Mitigation, how do you lower the probability, and how do you lower the impact of that risk? Yeah, it could mean you just order. Actually, you remove the risk if you order, um, or actually it could still be a risk. So if you order instead of cooking, so but you lessen that risk by selecting the right caterer, by really tasting each caterer's food, something like that. Contingency is like what we'll do if this actual risk actually unfolds. So if you don't get good food, maybe you just buy pizza or something like that. Backup plan. Or sometimes you just have to accept that if this fails, it fails. That's it. That's the end of the project. Sometimes you have no choice. Um, Again, going back to the communication strategy, you have to understand your organization. There was once when um, I did a project in a university after doing this in corporate tech. So I was just doing my usual, project charter, launching the project, and then going through the risks. Okay, this is what we're going to go through, and then they sort of freaked out because all the possible things that could go wrong. So you have to understand your organization as well. You have to understand the people you're working with, and to design the public project charter based on their language. Um, yeah, there was also once when in corporate tech where I used the wrong color in their organization. Red means something's wrong. So it's like something reddish there, some pink. So it was also highlighted.
My funny experience was, so in ADB, they have very tight control on the design and the font size that you use.
Mhm.
I wasn't used to it. So I wrote up the plan and it immediately came back from the big boss's office saying it's completely unacceptable. And I had no idea what happened till somebody told me I used font size 10. It should have been font size 11.
Oh wow. Yeah, you have to know these organizational what you call this taboos. You know. Um, Also, you want to put the high level budget, especially if you need an approval. Um, so in big organizations, maybe you need an actual formal process of requesting for a budget. But some organizations, this could be just like the project charter could suffice as the one that formalizes the release of a budget for this particular project. And even if it's a personal project, it's like you're gonna be spending your money on something. So you want to see the connection between the purpose, what is the outcome, and then how much time we'll be spending on this, and how much money will be spending on this. So the creation of the charter. So you draft this yourself, and then the creation of this one. Um, so you have an idea here. So my suggestion is like you don't present it created to your team. So it's good to talk to each one first. So what do you think about this? Should I put here? And then you bring this together. So you already know what are in people's minds, and you could have a way of uh, persuading them one on one, like to bring together people on the same mind, same page. So that when you launch this, when you present this, um, no, so before launching is presentation with the team first. So let's agree on what we're doing, what we call this thing. That's also a good opportunity to let them name the project. Gives them more ownership of the project. So you want to uh, take advantage of that. Um, Creating the aspects of projects, the risks, what are the biggest risks, what are the biggest, and also that's very helpful because you're thinking with more brains than one. It's like you're making use of their knowledge, your experience. So helping getting your team to help in this one, it truly helps. At the same time, it helps you align the project. Yeah, they also get excited with the project. You're pitching to them one on one. You're transmitting your excitement on the of the project for the project. So this will become your pitch script. So you will have to explain your project. The bigger it is, the more times you will have to explain it. So you will have to practice your elevator pitch. So why is this important? What will you do to make this happen? What will be the challenges, and what will be the outcome? How will this be impactful for the organization, for the world, for the person you're talking to. So this is one outcome of the project charter's creation. And then, so in certain situations where there is low trust, um, in low trust environments, for instance, it's like sometimes the supplier has a different, what you call this, motivations, different motivations than the one contracting them. It happens all the time. Like, if you're building a house, the contractor would want to do your um, to complete your house at the least cost at the least time, while you want the best quality. So there's something. So that's why the contract sort of what you call this makes is the tool that could align those interests. So you want a project charter to be like that as well. Um, you might need to involve lawyers if it's like it's a bit between companies. How do you protect um, your yourself and your company and your team in that situation? So yeah, the lower the trust, the the bigger the contract, the longer the contract. So at the very least, as a project manager, what I place are the assumptions. Um, so I need these things for this project to be a reality. So it's like just highlighting what I need from people. I need the support of this person. I need the time of this person. I need this money, blah blah blah, for this to be complete. So that's um, for high trust environments. This much less work because everyone has the same goal. Everyone trusts the other. There's a long term relationship where there's give and take. You know that people will sacrifice, and you could give back to them in the future. So it's much easier in high trust environments. But you still have to operate in low trust environments, so something you have to manage as well. So that's uh, that's it, Ashish. That's a chapter.
Okay, great. This is something completely, well, I shouldn't say completely new, but I didn't have it on my list of priorities. So I, um, I'm happy that we had a chance to discuss this so that I could remember the importance. And as I was listening to you, I was also reminded that how it's important to drive ownership and decrease the, or building the possibilities of risk management early on.
Yep.
So those were important lessons for me. Before I share, Khalil, with you, is it okay if we stop the recording? Because I'm not sure if I can share my work in the public
Sure,
domain.
sure. So I'll just stop
Yeah,
the recording and then let's discuss offline.
yeah, thank you.